talk about that vision, talk about that summit, not the shit. We've already covered that. You're valid. You're scared. You're worried. You're valid to feel those things. Feel them, and then talk about that. What's pulling you? What's calling you? Talk about that. I can have what I want, and I deserve what I want because I want it. Period, point blank, end of story. But we can't focus on that. We've got to focus on what's called us to this point and trust that what called us to this point is going to call us through it and anything else in front of us. And that's where we have to find our peace and our comfort and our confidence and our knowing. That's just who I am. I love that it's impossible. If it wasn't impossible, I wouldn't want it. And if you find yourself in pain right now, and if you find yourself feeling like you are sliding so far backward from a mountain that you feel like that you've been climbing and trying to summit for so long, you have hope. And there's that small, quiet voice, the one that above the anger, above the confusion, above the contempt, the righteous rage that you feel at life and the people around you, you can hear that voice over all of that. Somehow you still hear that voice that holds that vision and that knowledge of where you want to go and where you believe you're going. I'm at the lowest point. I know that there are things that I want to say, and in particular, there's a story that I want to tell. Not necessarily in this video, just overall. And maybe this is part of that, and that's why I feel such a strong pull to do it. It's something that I've been resistant to, because although I have a story to tell that I would like people to see, to hear, to relate to interact with, and have it maybe change their interaction with the world in the way that they move forward, I don't necessarily have a lot of desire or interest in being, for lack of a better, less cringy word, a public figure. I for sure want to be a person of influence, but I do not have any desire for fame or recognition. I don't have those needs. What I feel myself called to is community, in the sense of people relating to what I have to say and feeling like, wow, like I relate to that. I find community in this. I find community in the fact that someone else has the same or similar experiences, similar feelings, similar emotions and experiences. And there are some pretty big things that I want to do in this world and through art and creating things, scripts, documentaries, films. And I don't know why this is the place that I feel called to begin that. I guess if I really distill what I'm feeling right now, it's a sense of alienation in the current experience that I'm having, in the desire to, like I said, build community in that sense of relating and, I hope, inspiring people that are on similar paths or have similar desires or goals that I do. I guess I should, if I start with the backstory, this will be a 13-part video, and I'm just not interested in that. So we'll just start with the present backstory and where I'm at right now. And hopefully you find solace in the fact that if you're going through similar things, or if you find yourself at a new low, at a level of rock bottom that you didn't conceive even existed, but there's something in you that, amongst the turmoil, amongst the sheer disgusting level of unfairness and inequality around you and in the ways that you're being perceived and treated by people, you have hope. And there's that small, quiet voice, the one that, above the anger, above the confusion, above the contempt, the righteous rage that you feel at life and the people around you, you can hear that voice over all of that. Somehow you still hear that voice that holds that vision and that knowledge of where you want to go and where you believe you're going. I'm at the lowest point in my life, and I've had some low points. I was chronically ill as a teenager. I was working 2 jobs to pay out of pocket for non-covered medical services. Just terrible drugs, antibiotics, chemo type medications for a chronic, what they thought was an incurable autoimmune disease at the time, that I'm still healing because it's connected to stress and my emotions and my nervous system and the like. And spending, outside of forcing myself somehow to go to work at 2 jobs, 6 or 7 days a week, spending hours and hours and hours in my room alone, crying, absolutely sobbing at the pain, the physical and emotional pain that I felt from what I was going through, and going through that alone, and the side effects, and pulling clumps of my hair out, and having my body literally reject its own skin, and facing a grim outcome. I thought that for sure was my low point. And then spending 5 years in a cycle of incapacitating panic disorder and OCD, anxiety, and cycles of depression, at one point basically being housebound for over a year. I thought that was my low point. And then most recently, within the last few weeks, finding out that my mother has terminal, I'm going to say that in quotes because I leave things open to bigger and better possibility than the facts. I have respect for facts in front of my eyes, but I always leave space for something bigger, for something better, to come in and happen. I leave space for that. So within the last few weeks, finding that out, that my mother has terminal brain cancer, And she's been in the hospital for over a month. And having my entire family dump that entire burden on my shoulders. This began months ago, getting her living situation, trying to sort that out, trying to get her health insurance situation sorted out, her financial situation sorted out, and then having it all culminate in this. And then because of that, and the time involved, and the energy involved, and the stress involved with all of that, in the middle of my mom being hospitalized and treated for terminal brain cancer, my own sister-in-law fired me. She pushed me out of the business that I've been helping her run for the past 5 years, because work comes first. The almighty dollar comes first, and I'm so sorry it's our busy season, but you're not going to be able to take time off to support your mother through what she's going through. Even though we dumped all of this onto you, the sole responsibility onto you, and we want nothing to do with it, you need to handle all of that. Plus, you need to work 6-7 days a week. And on top of that, the weekend that your mom is diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, you're supposed to move, and she's supposed to move. So you also need to pay rent at both her house and your new house. And you need to sort her household out and move her household and move your household while all of this is going on. And I blew my entire savings, my partner and I, everything that we had in savings, in a bidding war, trying to get into a new rental for the time being. And the costs associated with moving, and helping my mom financially for the last few years, and just literally coming down to nothing left, and then being unemployed and not knowing how in the hell this is all supposed to come together and work out in the end. And just trying to find the energy and the willpower to move through what's in front of you and not get lost in it and still hold that hope. Because that's the thing, and that's why I'm here. I still have so much hope. It feels like, like in The Wizard of Oz, when the Wicked Witch flips the hourglass and that red sand is quickly running out, and Dorothy's just waiting and waiting and crying out, and it feels like I'm in that waiting room with that red sand just quickly running out in so many ways, in every way, but especially when it comes to my mom's life and what I'd hoped I would have been able to have together by now to truly be able to be there and support her, and not have her or myself have any worry about the end of your life and the financial burden of that, and just being able to have dignity and have peace and be at home and surrounded by your family and your pets. And that's what's been on my shoulders for years and years and years. And here we are at that moment. I hope later than sooner, but just feeling like that red sand in that hourglass is running out quickly, and not knowing how the hell I'm supposed to keep all of this together and make this vision, this idea, this knowing that I have. How am I supposed to hold that all together and hold space for that when everything around me is so beyond turmoil? But I do, and I guess that's why I'm here, and I guess that's why I was pushed to sit down and make this video, and hope that you find it, whoever you are, whatever it is that you are going through. Even if you're not going through something like this, you just have that vision and that idea ahead of you, like I do. God, I have such a vision for the life in front of me, and an unrealistic, crazy vision that I have no business wanting or expecting for myself. From where I've come from, I have no business wanting or even theorizing that the things that I want could even be possible for me. But to tell you the truth, that's why I want them so bad. That's what makes them so special, is that I have no business wanting or expecting these things for myself. And I guess that's part of the purpose for me, is to be able to have it come together somehow and be able to come and tell a community, a collective of people, I had no business thinking that any of this could be possible for me. But it happened. It happened. Here I am, my life. This is my testimony in a totally non-religious way, my testimony of what's possible, of the power of whatever you call it. For me, it's just a field of infinite potential. That's what we live in. And whether that's religious to you or spiritual to you or just purely scientific, to me, I've come to the point where it's more so just a scientific fact of life. But to me, there is something so spiritual about that. But it's not, I went from, total deconstruction of the religious upbringing that I had, and the pain and the torment that inflicted on me and my mind and my life, to, a brand of new age spirituality that expanded and opened me up. But then I felt it was the same constraint, just inverted on itself, because instead of a God or a savior, it's the universe, it's lessons, it's karma, it's, all of these things that, to me, if that's your thing, hey, and that brings you comfort and peace and gives you understanding and, brings something to your life, that's great. But for me, it was another form of disempowerment that I don't necessarily subscribe to, but I have space to talk about. But for me, it's that we exist in a field of infinite potential, and that it's up to us, and that we are the operative, power in our lives. And yes, things happen around us. And that piece I still haven't quite figured out, that, if we are that operative power, how do these things that feel so terrible, happen? If there's no one looking in on us and sending these things our way to bring us lessons, or to bring us pain, or to, reroute us, which I have no space to believe in my life. I'm not going to say that it's not there in the background because of the way I was raised and because of the spiritual journey I've taken, that I still find that coming back up. But I don't believe in something looking in on us and saying, a lesson for you, some pain for you, loss for you. I don't believe in that. But things do happen. So what I try and do with that is more, this is in front of me. I suppose it's a consequence of mass consciousness, and the ways that we think about things, and the things that we subconsciously expect because of society and because of the programming that we're given. So it is what it is. It's in front of me. I'm going to move through it. I'm not going to let it be the end of me, or the end of my hope, or the end of my expectation. I'm going to move through it and focus on where I see myself, and that alone will pull me through whatever painful experience it is that I'm having at the moment. I guess that's the point that I'm at with all of that. But yeah, so I don't know what this is for. I started filming things years ago, not knowing what they were for. I thought I was writing a book, then I thought I was working on a documentary, which I am. That's still a piece of it. And then, I followed my pull through a writing program and then a film and video program. So I'm still putting together things for that documentary and constantly, working and shifting and putting that idea together in my head. And I'm, halfway through the edit of a feature film based on the documentary, which is based on my life and my story, but also based on, a book that's very, personal to me. So I've got a lot of these things that are, spinning and developing in my head and in my world. And God, I find myself in such a low and what could be disempowering place. And I'm not going to lie. I have been there. I have found myself in such rage, righteous rage, at the way that I've been treated through all of this. But it's in no way unique to me. But that's not to say that anger and that pain isn't, it doesn't diminish that. And I'm not going to compare my experiences or scenario with other people and debate whose pain is valid and whose pain isn't. If you're in pain, you're in pain. And if you find yourself in pain right now, and if you find yourself feeling like you are sliding so far backward from a mountain that you feel like that you've been climbing and trying to summit for so long, maybe just set up camp and let a storm or two blow over, and use that time to know that although it doesn't feel like you're moving because you've literally had to camp out to endure, use that time to tap into your knowing, to tap into what got you, what made you even start what felt like an arduous, impossible climb. Tap back into what even pulled you to take that first step onto that mountain and to that idea, to that summit that you don't see, but is up there waiting for you. And know that that's enough. Know that what you're doing is enough. Know that your pain is valid, your fatigue is valid. Know that your anger is valid, but don't get lost in that. You're allowed to feel those things and still have vision and still have hope and still have that thing, whatever it is for you. For me, my God, it is impossible, unimaginable shit. But that's who I am. That's what I love. That is what I am sold on. If you, meaning the world at large, and our society and our capitalism and our way of life, if you tell me that I cannot have something, all bets are off. That is what I am shooting for. That is what is calling me. That is what I am going for. That's just who I am. I love that it's impossible. If it wasn't impossible, I wouldn't want it. And I've lived a journey of really, really low lows and really good points and highs and impossibilities coming to fruition for me. Nothing close to what I envision now, but that's what they did. It was each time something happened for me and I went, wow, how the hell did that happen? it just made that mountaintop, that summit, it just made that vision, that view bigger, grander, more beautiful, more expansive. And that's what I'm finding myself in now, is that this sharp, jagged rock bottom that I have plummeted to, it only makes me want that more. It only makes that picture bigger. It only makes that picture more important. And that's what I want for you, for whoever it is that finds this, for whoever it is that's watching this, for my community of people of all kinds, of all shapes, sizes, creeds, beliefs. If there's one thing that we can share, it's validation that your pain and what you're going through, oh God, it sucks. God, it sucks. God, it's unfair. But it's in front of you, and you can choose to lay down and die in it, or you can choose to believe beyond it and move, let that pull you through it, move through it. Or you can say, you know what, I'm doing enough. I'm gonna set up camp for a while and let a couple of these storms blow over in my life. And I'm gonna reconnect with myself and with my peace and with my knowing and with my confidence. And I'm gonna regain my strength, and then I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna keep climbing. And I'm gonna know that at some point I'm going to reach a point where that vision, that future, because I believe it's all happening now in a weird, inexplainable way that I still haven't wrapped my own mind around. That future, there's going to be a point where you hook into it, you step into the shoes of that person that sees that view. For me, there's a very specific place, there's a location, and there's a specific thing that I am doing that I have seen through those eyes. And I know that there's a point when I'm going to step into those shoes, and that is going to pull me up the rest of that mountain quicker than I could have ever imagined, and in a way that no amount of forcing or hard work or grinding and hustling could ever pull me. That's what you got to lock into. That's what you've got to hook into. And I've spent years on here on YouTube watching messages like this from people that I've gone looking for, that have found me. And there's been a lot of videos lately that are titled, "You've consumed enough, it's time to create." And that's what realm, or that's what the age that I feel that I'm in right now, is that I've consumed enough, and it's time for me to put that back out and hope that it finds people the way that I found the things that I needed to find comfort in those absolutely terrible times, and find confirmation and find community, even if I never interacted with that person, but to just find community of people that are fighting the same fight that I am. The fight for something bigger, the fight for something impossible, the fight for something unrealistic. Just to know that I'm not just some one-off Delulu crazy dude who expects more out of this life and who wants to be the operative power and create things that would dizzy other people to even consider. I'm not alone in that. So I guess here I am telling you that you're not alone in that. And that if you find yourself at a rock bottom that you didn't even think was possible, or even if you're just feel like you're hitting a wall and you know where you want to go, and it just feels like everything around you is conspiring against you, it's not. And you're not here to endure pain and be taught lessons and to be held back from what you desire. I truly believe that if we're the operative power in our lives, and that's what I want to believe, that it is us that stands in our own way. There's nothing outside of you watching you, deciding, no, you've got to learn that lesson first, or you've got to, if what I believe is true, then everything that I desire, I could have tomorrow. And I just have to have the capacity to let that in. And that sucks. That's frustrating, because that's how I feel, is that I could have had it years ago. I could have it tomorrow, but I probably won't. But we have to be okay with that. Not because we have to be okay with someone else's timing or some, authoritative figure's timing, but because that's what's in front of us. But we can't focus on that. We've got to focus on what's called us to this point and trust that what called us to this point is going to call us through it and anything else in front of us. And that's where we have to find our peace and our comfort and our confidence and our knowing. We've got to tap into that. We've got to tap into that knowing, not the seeing, the knowing. If what you're seeing is awesome and great and it's building bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, I applaud you. You are hooked in, you are locked in. And I've been in those places and I didn't even realize it. And I was so hyper focused on not losing it and forcing it and making it be bigger and making it permanent and making it work that I destroyed all of it. It led me to do things that were not true to who I am, out of desperation to just, my God, this is so good. I have to make this the new way of life. And it could have been the new way of life if I would have just allowed it to be the new way of life. But I was so sure that it was slipping away from me and that I had to keep fighting and fighting and working harder and harder and harder. And I had to do this and I had to strategize this way. And we have to let that go. And that is the hardest thing. People don't understand. I have no interest in combating hustle culture and grind culture, but it is so to me. But that culture, that collective that's hooked into that message, they have no idea the grind, the grit, the strength that it takes to not be tempted into that forceful way of life and that forceful action, that repetitive, boring way of living, and how much discipline it takes to exit that and to trust and to go into your knowing over and over and over, and to totally disregard, not disengage, but disregard what the world is throwing at you and showing you, and to keep going back inward and into that place and into that part of you that knows. That is the grind. That is the hard work. That takes strength. You can shut yourself off and disassociate and just get up and grind all day. Good for you. I applaud you. If that is truly what you enjoy, then go for it. Enjoy the hell out of that. But for a lot of us, that's just what we were told. That's just what we were given to expect. And it has never felt good to us, and it does not feel joyful to us. And we have a higher calling. Not to say that those people don't, or that they couldn't tap into something, but it's us that are here to really hook into our truth. And then when we benefit from that, when we are living that, going out and doing the things from a place of joyful, fiery inspiration to go out and tell other people, yes, believe, go for it. That crazy, crazy, unrealistic thing that keeps popping up on your heart and your mind in the signs around you, go for it. That is the purpose. That is the higher purpose. And it doesn't have to have that high purpose. It doesn't have to have, you can have it. That's one thing that I've really struggled with. I can have what I want, and I deserve what I want because I want it. Period, point blank, end of story. I don't have to justify it. I don't have to I promise if you give me money, I'm gonna go do charity work and I'm gonna go. No, I'm gonna go do those things because that's just the person that I am, and that is the work that I'm called to. The money, the influence, the platform, that's all just there because of the dream that I have. I define my own purpose through what I feel a fire inside about, which is influencing and changing the world and changing the way that people live and think and what they expect and what they believe. I could get lost in this all day. I could go on and on and on about my vision and my dream in the work that I'm going to do, in the philanthropic stuff that I'm going to do, I could talk about it all day. I am so in love and so on fire for that. And I hope that you have that too, whatever it is, to whatever degree. It does not have to be something societal or global like mine is, because being in alignment with yourself in what makes you happy, it changes the entire collective anyways. And the more of us that tap into that and are focused on what feels good and true to us, the further that's going to spread anyways. So your message, your goal, your purpose, your whatever, it does not have to be globally minded. It does not have to be, multi-billion dollar, based like mine is. But again, I could talk all day, and maybe those are discussions and videos for other days. I just wanted to start somewhere, and I just wanted to say that if you find yourself in the mud, if you've got people that have you by the back of the head with your face in the mud right now, time's running out and money is gone, it's run out, you are so overstretched. If that's you in any way, in any capacity, in any one of those categories or all inclusive, don't give up hope. Focus on the summit. You have to see that view now. And I hate hearing that shit. I hate, because that is the hardest thing to do when everything around you is so disempowering and tumultuous. But just sit, just camp out, just tap back in to that version of you. It's there. That is what has called you this entire time. So it's there and it's available to you. And if you can sit quietly and just hook back into that, you won't have to try and change the way things around you look. That vision, that sight will just come back to you, and that will fuel you. That will keep you strong. That, if you let it, will hook in and pull you up that mountain. And I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you in the midst of the mud, in the shit, trying with all my might. That's probably what the problem is. I'm trying with all my might. I need to heed my own words, my own advice, and just camp out and just focus on what's in front of me, moving through it the best that I can, and letting that vision, that idea, that goal have my attention, and pouring myself into it when I can find pockets of time to do that, and know that that's enough. So I guess I will leave that here. My mom is calling me from the hospital. I'll give her a call back. I will leave that here and just leave you with, you are not alone. Hope is not lost. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. And there is community. There is community available to you. And if you're struggling, reach out to someone. If you truly feel that you don't have anyone, Commune with that higher vision that's been calling you. Tap into that and find strength and find joy. And if people find this, and there's a swarm of people in the comments, and support each other, reach out to one another, encourage each other, talk about that vision, talk about that summit, not the shit. We've already covered that. You're valid. You're scared. You're worried. You're valid to feel those things. Feel them, and then talk about that. What's pulling you? What's calling you? Talk about that and tap back into that. So I've been rambling. I'm gonna leave it here. I don't know if anyone's gonna find this. I don't know what the purpose of this is, but I felt called, so I did it. And if I feel called to continue, then I guess I'll make more videos and offer more insight and community as I feel led to. But anyways, thank you for watching if you watched this, and I hope you found something in this. And just stay strong and know that you are not alone. We truly are. We're truly in this together. So stay strong, and I will talk to you later. Bye.